Welcome to True Unseen Crime, where the shadows have voices and the past never stays buried. If you're looking for chilling, true crime stories packed with suspense, horror, and intrigue, you've come to the right place. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Now, let's step into the darkness together. Whispers in the Bayou. The disappearance. The town of St. Augustine Parish was the kind of place where people didn't lock their doors, where generations of families lived and died without ever leaving, and where the swamps held more secrets than the people did. It was a town where the cicadas hummed a song of warning, and the Spanish moss draped over trees like veils hiding something unseen. The bayou whispered at night, carrying the echoes of things best left forgotten. On the morning of August 7th, Sheriff Daniel Mercer sat at his usual booth at Lou's Diner, sipping bitter coffee and listening to the soft hum of country music playing from an old radio. He wasn't a man easily rattled. He'd seen enough crime, enough tragedy, enough of what humanity was capable of to know that darkness had a way of slipping into even the quietest corners. But nothing prepared him for what came next. The diner door slammed open so hard the little bell above it jangled violently, silencing the low murmur of morning chatter. Heads turned, forks clattered, and Mercer felt the weight of something bad before he even laid eyes on the woman standing in the doorway. Elena Dupree stood there, wild-eyed and breathless, her chest rising and falling in panicked gasps. She clutched a crumpled piece of paper so tightly her knuckles were white, and her lips trembled as she tried to form words. "Sheriff Mercer," she finally managed, her voice cracking. "Please, you have to help me. My sister's gone." Mercer's stomach twisted. Elena Dupree, Claire's younger sister, was one of those people everyone liked. A schoolteacher, kind-hearted, the sort of woman who made the world feel a little bit safer just by being in it. The kind of woman who didn't just vanish without a trace. "All right," Mercer said, standing slowly, his voice calm but firm. "Slow down. When did you last see her?" Claire shook her head, the motion jerky. "Last night. She called me before bed." She sounded off, like she was spooked. "I thought maybe she was just tired," but her fingers clenched around the note as she stepped forward, thrusting it toward Mercer with a shaking hand. The paper was old, torn from a notebook, its edges frayed as though it had been gripped too hard. Scrawled in shaky handwriting were 3 chilling words. "He is here." The diner went silent. Mercer felt a prickle of unease crawl up his spine. He had seen enough in his 20 years as sheriff to know when something wasn't right. And this wasn't right. "Elena told me someone was watching her," Claire whispered. Her voice was barely above the sound of the ceiling fan creaking overhead. "She said she could feel it. I told her she was imagining things, that it was just the stress of work. But I was wrong, Sheriff." Her breath hitched. "She's gone." Mercer exhaled sharply, his instincts already kicking in. St. Augustine Parish wasn't the kind of place where people just disappeared. But as he met Claire's desperate eyes, a nagging thought whispered at the back of his mind. Elena wasn't the first to vanish. And something told him she wouldn't be the last. The shadows of the past. Mercer wasted no time. He stood, pulling a few bills from his wallet and tossing them onto the table before turning to Claire. "Come with me." The ride to Elena's house was tense, the narrow back roads lined with towering cypress trees, their gnarled roots stretching like fingers into the murky swamp water. The humidity clung to the air, thick and oppressive, and the further they drove, the more Claire's breathing became shallow and uneven. "Elena ever mention anyone new in town?" Mercer asked, eyes flicking between the road and Claire's face. Claire shook her head, arms wrapped around herself. "No." But she wasn't the type to talk about that stuff. If something was wrong, she kept it to herself. Always did. As they approached Elena's house, a small, white wooden structure on the edge of the bayou, Mercer felt it again. That creeping unease. The house sat eerily still, the wind causing the porch swing to creak lazily. It was too quiet. Claire hesitated at the doorstep. Mercer knocked once. Twice. No answer. Finally, he turned the knob. It was unlocked. The inside smelled of lavender and something else. Something off. The furniture was undisturbed, the kitchen sink empty, the floor clean. But Mercer knew better than to take that at face value. His gaze settled on a single coffee cup on the counter, lipstick stained at the rim. Claire gasped softly beside him, pointing toward the floor. A set of wet footprints trailed from the back door to the center of the room, muddy, uneven. And next to them, something small and crumpled. Another note. Mercer picked it up carefully, unfolding it with steady hands. "I see him." A shiver ran through his spine. He turned to Claire, who had gone pale. "She was right," Claire whispered, her voice barely audible. She knew someone was watching her. Mercer scanned the room again. The footprints. The note. The unlocked door. Someone had been here. Maybe they still were. A floorboard creaked down the hallway. Claire grabbed Mercer's arm, eyes wide with terror. "Did you hear that?" she breathed. Mercer reached for his holster, stepping forward cautiously. The hallway stretched into darkness, the single overhead bulb flickering dimly. A shadow shifted at the end of the corridor. "Elena," he called out. Silence. Then, suddenly, a crash. Something moved. Fast. Mercer pulled his gun, stepping forward, his heartbeat loud in his ears. The door at the end of the hall stood slightly ajar, revealing only darkness beyond it. His grip tightened on his weapon. And then he saw it. A single handprint smeared across the door. Fresh. Wet. They weren't alone. The Bayou's secret. Mercer inhaled deeply, stepping toward the door, his every nerve on high alert. The air in the hallway had shifted. It was heavier now, charged with something unnatural. Claire's fingers dug into his sleeve, her body trembling. Then a whisper. Low. Ragged. Just beyond the threshold. "Elena." Mercer called again, but this time, his voice lacked certainty. A sound scraped across the wood. Nails? Something shifting? A breath? Then, the door slammed shut on its own. A single, chilling sound echoed from the other side. Laughter. And that's it for this chapter of Whispers in the Bayou. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. What do you think happened to Elena? Who, or what, is lurking in the shadows? Drop your theories in the comments below, and I'll see you next time on True Unseen Crime, where the past refuses to stay buried.